Well, we're at 3:31, and I want to welcome everyone to the February STEM High Schools webinar call. And for those of you who I haven't spoken to, I want to say Happy New Year, and I hope everyone's spring is going very well. I'm so excited to have a friend as our guest speaker today. Tracy Ostrom was a teacher, a fabulous teacher when I met her, possibly as long ago as 2004. Certainly worked with her in workshops that we were providing in 2006 and 7 and 8. And Tracy has since left the classroom and gone to work for the University of California, Berkeley Graduate School of Education and the College and Career Academy Support Network, and a few other things that I think she may share with you. And our topic for the day is primarily internships, career exploration, and internships. And I've been aware of a program called the Green360 Career Catalyst for easily 6 or 7 years, and it's the best online career exploration tool that I know of. And Tracy's going to present some of that to us, and she's going to talk to us also about some of the materials that are available through the California College and Career Academy Support Network. Now I'm trying to advance a slide there too.
Sounds good.
Yeah, thank you, Tracy. I'm going to ask you, Tracy, if you wouldn't mind, give us a quick rundown of your career path that might add to my short description of you. Did you start teaching right away?
Sure. So, yeah, that sounds good. Can you guys hear me okay? Kind of was going in and out there.
I hear you fine.
Okay, well, great. So I was in the classroom about 17 years as a science/environmental science teacher. I taught in the suburbs of the Bay Area, Walnut Creek, pretty high-end school, as well as half the time there and about half the time in Oakland at a high school in Oakland. So I've taught 9 through 12 during that time. And while in Oakland, actually, based on all my experiences with the NEED program and working with Barry and his workshops, I decided to start an academy at the high school in Oakland that I was at. And it was an environmental academy, renewable energy academy. And so I got a grant from the state, a California Partnership Academy grant, and then ran the academy for about 6 years, and then I retired. And now I work with, I still work with science teachers, mostly in the Bay Area and in Sacramento, on hands-on field science learning through a program called GLOBE. Most of my time is spent on that. And I also work with science teachers on the Green360 program, bringing career exploration and career literacy into science classrooms. So I'm really familiar with STEM, NGSS, career exploration, using content learning, and hopefully I'll give you some insights, maybe what some good points and what not to do if you're interested in developing internship programs in your neck of the woods. So Barry, I can go ahead and get started if you'd like.
I'm going to have you do that. I think I have a couple of slides, and then I'm going to turn the show over to you. Thank you.
Perfect.
This is our beginning slide. The STEM High School series is a number of different offerings. These webinars are a part of it. We have the energy curriculum that NEED offers and resources from other providers, hands-on kits and workshops. There are robotic grants that are going to be announced soon. And today's topic, Tools to Explore STEM Careers, is included there. We're going to help schools put together industry expert speakers. We are announcing paid summer internships with this call, and student scholarships are also something that are a part of our many offerings. I want to let everyone know that there's a San Ramon workshop coming up on February 28th that still has room. San Ramon is one of many PG&E training centers, and so we're going to be on the campus of the San Ramon Valley Conference Center, where workforce courses are ongoing for people coming to work for PG&E. We're going to be using classroom kits that teachers will get for attending the workshop, hands-on wind energy kits, solar energy kits. Tracy, you're familiar with our kits. We're going to study energy science and energy sources,
Yes.
and then use the kits. Then we're going to have lunch. Then we're going to tour labs. And the cool thing about this workshop is that we're inviting teachers to each bring 2 students. So they're school teams, and we've never really done this before. We've had tons of teacher workshops, and we've had student events. And what we're doing is we're saying, especially high school juniors and seniors have the capacity to be, really all students do, but in this case we're talking as it's a career workforce development idea. We're thinking these kids are in situations where they're applying to colleges and they're thinking about what do they want to do. They're just about getting out of high school. Why not bring them in with their teachers to sit down and learn about the content and the use of these kits, and then they go back to their classroom, and the teacher will have a pre-trained wonderful student assistant, and these students will share from their student age point of view what they experienced during the tours and everything else. So we hope that it will be successful. We encourage anyone near San Ramon to consider registering for that. It's on our NEED website. I'll send out links for more information about that. And with that, I'm going to give it up to you. If you're ready to go, I'm going to give the screen to Tracy, and we'll get started with your presentation.
Sounds good.
Okay, here we go. Make presenter.
All right. Well, I hope everyone can see the screen okay here. I'm going to talk quickly and touch on a number of things, and feel free to ask questions as we go, or you can wait till the end. I'll probably talk, my goal is about 15 minutes, so hopefully it won't be too fast, but fast enough to keep you going here. So I titled this presentation today, Explore, Experience, and Employ, because I really want to focus on the student internship program as a whole at the high school level. So let's just go ahead and get started here. And I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with the Green360 program. So it is a online, it's free educational career readiness resource. I really like it because it has tool-based. So it really creates an opportunity for students to learn about themselves and apply what they've learned into creating a career path or career direction for themselves, which is why we say it really puts kids or students in the driver's seat. The whole idea of empowering students to create their own career path is super important, and when they do that, they tend to seek internships that fit their interests. And when we all know you're more likely to succeed in an area that you're interested in. And so that's why internships and going through a Green360 career catalyst could be super powerful for our students. And the other thing I want to say about the career catalyst, it really is a step-by-step scaffolding approach for students. And it starts with them really being able to take the information about themselves, talk to adults, and create network maps. And I'll go into a little bit more about that in a few minutes. So as I said, the title of this is Explore, Experience, and Employ. So I want to explain a little bit about what that means. So the first step in any kind of internship program is really important for the kids to know themselves. They need to discover who they are, what their interests are, what they're passionate about outside of the classroom, and then hopefully with that information start to look at career potentials or ways in which they can use the skills that they're really interested in developing. It's experiential, meaning that kids take something called a Changemaker Statement, which I'll just call the elevator speech, because that's what I was taught when I was in school, is to develop my own elevator speech. We talk about it now as a Changemaker Statement, and use that as a tool to practice talking to adults or practice creating their own network, social network or career network. And then finally, getting some more information about their career path by talking with an adult about that. And then ultimately, there's the internship side. It's the employment side. Using their resources that they've gone through in the Connect with Others Learning Center, Center in the Green360 Career Catalyst. We want students to create their own internship opportunities, not that we don't help them along the way, but super powerful if they can create that. So the Career Catalyst has a new look this year, and you'll see that we hope that it's more engaging for students. I want to just take you real quickly to the Career Catalyst right now. This is what it looks like, and as you can see, there's two learning centers, the Know Yourself and Connect with Others Learning Center, and I'm just going to minimize this real quick here. And like anything, you have to have an address, email address, to be able to log in. So let's go to Know Yourself, and I don't want to really go through all the steps in this because it'll take me about 20 minutes to do that. But it starts with an interest profiler, connecting to their world, kind of developing their own matches in their career profile. I really want to just focus on this last part, and that's that elevator speech I referred to earlier, their Changemaker Statement. This is where it all begins. It begins with them being able to talk about themselves. And so when they write Changemaker Statements, and I'm just going to give you an example, they're talking about their strengths, what they're interested in, what their career goals are, and what kind of environmental challenges might they be passionate about in their community. And so through all that, that's kind of the first tool that they develop, is their Changemaker Statement. And what they do with that Changemaker Statement is enter the second learning center, which is really about connecting with others. And this is a true scaffolding approach here. And it starts out with them having a career talk with an adult. And there's a guide that goes along with this. And in that guide, it really scaffolds this idea of, gee, you know, when I talk to an adult about my career interests, with the intention at some point in time, I want to volunteer in an area that I'm interested in. Maybe I want to do an internship in an area that I'm interested in. It really sets up the student to have these conversations with an adult. And you guys know this already. High school kids have a hard time talking to adults about things they're passionate about as far as careers are concerned. Socially, it's a much different story with students. But I think having this, starting out with this career talk, really helps students kind of quantify how they talk with adults, and gives them that practice to do that. Probably one of the most important parts of the Green360 is this network idea, and this is where internships come into play. We all know networking for careers is really important, and we can cite probably many examples of our own career paths of how we heard of something, got a job here, or talked to somebody over there, and we can create our own network, career network maps. For kids, it's different. You know, they don't know adults in that fashion. So this is an opportunity for students to start looking at social media and network and turning that into an opportunity to create a network map that will further them in their career path, including internship opportunities. So they go through this network map, and again, it's very self-explanatory for the kids to move in that direction in developing career opportunities and internship opportunities for themselves. And finally, this is pretty self-explanatory as well. It's basically informational interviews, not to be confused with a job interview. Informational interviews are all about guiding a student on getting more information about that career path that they're interested in. And hopefully they have these interviews or these in-depth talks with people that are in a career direction that they're interested in. So in a nutshell, this is the Green360 Career Catalyst. The 2 learning centers, the Know Yourself and the Connect with Others, really sets up a student for their internship program. And so those are the 2 main things. And I did not show this, but by the way, there's also an educator guide that's a part of this with lessons on every step, every activity that's in the Green360 Career Catalyst is matched with a educator guide. So now I want to kind of focus on this idea. I'll call it my recipe or my ingredients into developing student internships for your students. These are some of the things that I found really important in an internship program. The first thing, and probably the most important, is making sure that an internship program matches students' career interests, and this is where the Green360 Career Catalyst comes into play. You got to know what those career interests are for the students to be able to provide opportunities for them in an internship program. Certainly linking an internship opportunity to what's going on in the classroom is super important. So you wouldn't seek internships in necessarily graphic arts if you have your interests of your students are in culinary areas. So really matching internships to what's going on in the classroom is very important. One thing I did when I was developing internship programs is I invited partners into my classroom. I wanted to see them to see what the kids were learning in the classroom, the type of kids that we have that are interested in internships, sharing a little bit about the goals of my academy and my goals for my students through an internship program, really help them buy into the program, you could say. Having student accountability, as you can imagine, is super important. That means time clocks, reporting, and even reflecting on their internships on a weekly basis. Equally important in my mind is accountability for the partners where the students are interning. And that means we don't want a student to go to an organization just so they can file papers. That's really not an internship. That's kind of a busy work job. So having that accountability and reflection for my internship partners is just as important. Making sure the partner benefits from the internship program, and obviously the student benefits by working with the partner, is super important. My students had portfolios and journals that they recorded their reflections in, and also any questions they had. If they had difficulty talking with a coworker, what does it mean to be a coworker? What are some of the components of working with others? So we had like scaffolding and lead questions that they would reflect on every week. One thing that I also think is important before the internship is preparing the partners on how to work with high school students. Often adults don't know how to work with high school students, just like high school students have a hard time understanding what the workplace conduct is. So those are two super important components of an internship program. I put on their safe environment, having check-ins. I would often, during an internship program, do pop-ins, visits to the workplace to talk with the student, talk with the partner on learning how things are going. And I wanted to end with this one here. internships are learning experiences and they're not jobs. And that's why I gave that example of filing papers. That can be a job, but it's really not a learning experience per se of what I want to achieve in an internship program. So how did I get partners to participate in the internship program? I had some existing partners with our STEM Academy already, including advisory board members. I put out, an all call with parents. I used the students' network maps. I tapped in the Chamber of Commerce in my Oakland Chamber of Commerce for new partners. Those who were reaching out and wanted to do public outreach or education outreach. I started with the Human Resources Department often. Sometimes I got very far and sometimes I didn't get very far at all. I also thought nonprofit organizations, they also benefit from having internships, interns over the summer. So that was a big win for us. Certainly we partnered with municipalities. And sometimes internships are driven by your administration or your district connection. So I wouldn't discount the opportunities that those entities might bring into an internship program that you're starting or you're trying to beef up, you could say. And I know there's other opportunities out there. It's just you're only limited by your own creativity on this. So I want to talk a little bit about some resources that Barry has, and I'm sure he'd be happy to forward on to you. But the idea of starting with the Career Catalyst, developing a career awareness, having the kids kind of guide their own career exploration is super important. And even if you don't or you're not interested in a full-blown internship program, going through this process where students can find volunteer opportunities or even summer jobs that match their career interests or even the skills that they want to develop further is, I think, an important step for any high school student. Linking to our internships with what's going on in the classroom, making it as a training or using it in some sort of way in which they know they can put that on their resume or their college app. It's super powerful. And there's 3 guides that I think are really good guides in helping you establish internship programs at your school. And I want to talk just real briefly about all 3 of these guides here. I'll start off with the first one. It's called Preparing Youth for Life, the Gold Standards for High School Internships. And it's a very lengthy guide, but this is the essence of this guide. And there's like 10 gold standards that you really want to keep in mind. And I actually have talked a little bit about this already in some of my key ingredients to internships. But a couple that I'll point out here that I did not mention is the whole education equity component. And compensation, I think, is important. I don't think it's a deal breaker, but I think when students know they're getting paid and when they don't show up or don't do something that may jeopardize their pay, I think there's a lot to be said for that. Another resource I'll briefly talk about here, and these are all, both these resources are from the National Academy Foundation, or NAF. They also have, kind of 7 key points in making sure activities and experiences are a part of the work-based learning performance of students, identifying what the objectives are, both for the student and the partner, assessing student performance. I talked a little bit about this as part of accountability. And orientation I also talked about, and preparing the partners as well as preparing the students for what's going to be happening. And I will say this, on my summer internship program, we actually had students attend summer school on a Monday. So for 2 hours, they were back together as a group, And it was a really powerful opportunity for students to share their experiences and feel like they're in a safe environment to talk about maybe some things they were having problems with or difficulties with. And they actually, I mean, they only got 1 credit for the internship program over the summer, but I think it was worth it. And then the last guide here is something that we put together a few years ago. And what I like about this guide is in the appendix, there's actual sample worksheets for you to use, an application for applying for internships, standards of conduct for students, work log, intern evaluation, and their reflection. So I kind of like this because there's some nice forms here that you can use when starting your own program at your school. And then finally, actually, I just want to kind of open it up and maybe the chat room or however possible, if you guys might have any questions for me on my experiences with developing internship programs or my experiences with students in internship programs. I'm happy to answer your questions.
I don't see anything in chat, Tracy, but
okay.
I'm not sure that folks that are on the call have working microphones or not.
Okay.
I've got my eyes on the chat board. Everybody that's
okay.
Unless they're on a phone call, well, if they're on the phone call, they should be able to voice any questions. But I had a couple of questions, and I'll be watching the chat board for questions from our teachers. Oh, there's somebody. Oh, maybe I'm wrong.
I have a question about Green360.
Yay!
Yeah.
This is Karen Swan from Eola County Office of Ed. So I would be interested in in doing the Green360, leading some of the students in one of our pathway programs in that. And I'm wondering if can I go in and pretend like I'm a student first and preview it so I know what I'm leading them in doing?
Great question, Karen. Actually, I would encourage you to do that.
Okay.
Even though our audience here, we're talking about students, Green360 is for anybody, 50 years old, 25 years old, in college, whatever. And when I do a training on Green360 to teachers, we actually do the interest profiler together. And so everybody sees what their top 3 interests are during the presentation. And so I highly recommend going through the Know Yourself Learning Center from beginning to end.
Thank you. Sometimes when you go in as the teacher and pretend you're a student, it just weird things happen on the back end, or it makes you whoever's looking at who's using it think that whatever. So I just want to make sure that you just go in normally as a student, just sign up and go in and do it without it being weird anywhere.
It's not weird anywhere.
Awesome.
All you need is an email address, and once you have that email address, it'll send you an email just to verify you're not a robot, and then you're good to go.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Great question.
So Tracy, to make this work well, each student that's involved should have an email that they can use, correct?
Yes.
And
it stays with that student or that person, the user. Their information is all stored in a portfolio, and it stays with that user for as long as they want, kind of thing. They can, as their interests change, as they take different classes, they may answer the interest profiler questions differently. And so that's why it's kind of fun. As long as they have an email address, they can go in at any time and take a look at it.
That's great. So their account lives in the cloud with you, and they can visit it.
It does.
As long as they don't forget even if they forget their password, I'm sure they can retrieve it. But they can take it. That's very good. Would you say that in a computer lab, in a typical class period, a teacher could walk everyone through the first part of this?
Yeah, great question. So the Know Yourself Learning Center, those 4 activities that I mentioned, you really can go through these 4 activities in a class period. The interest profiler, writing interest sentences, connecting to your world career profile match, and then your Changemaker Statement. It's a tight 45 minutes, but it's certainly doable. And like I said, as far as lessons are concerned, it's easy for, once you have guided your kids to go through the different activities in the Know Yourself. There's what we call an enrichment lesson plan, in which case the enrichment lesson plan kind of makes them just to kind of take a deeper look at some of the answers in their Changemaker statement. And there's some dialogue that happens, peer-on-peer dialogue. Otherwise, you can break it down and just do one activity and a lesson associated with that activity in one class period. So it's really up to the teacher.
Yeah, it sounds terrific. I don't know that it would work for everyone, but I can imagine doing this, trying to find time over a couple of periods to go through it, and then the first part of a second period to wrap it up, and then do some sharing and some sharing out and reporting, and have some fun with it. But that's
Agreed.
very useful. And I also appreciate the slides that you provided that talk about the resources that are at the Career Academy Support Network exactly. I've used the handbook. It was, at least at the time, available as a Word document, and I pulled out and used the forms that worked for what I was doing. It's a pretty big document, but it doesn't. But if anyone goes to it to use as a tool, know that use the pages that you need, and copy it and remix it any way you want. Especially helpful too, I think, where you had a slide that had, was it 10 points, different ways to pull together, ways to create to build your network.
Oh, right. Yeah, the partners.
Yeah, the partners page hit me because I've done that myself, and I think all the teachers that are going to be a part of this or on the call now would have done that. Would have gone through these things, and we're not necessarily, as teachers, trained professionally to do this kind of thing. It can be daunting, and it takes a little bit of perseverance.
Well, and we don't have time.
That's right.
I think, the big mistake that I made was trying to do it all for my students. Yeah. Trying to go to the Chamber of Commerce, visiting the different municipalities, or following up on a lead from here and there. And it was extremely time consuming. And while I created opportunities for students, it wasn't their choices. And that's why I think that was a big mistake for me. And you can't do it all. And I think we as teachers, need to kind of remind ourselves that. And that's why the power of having students drive their own internship program based on what they're interested in, right, I think can prove to be a much more powerful experience for them.
That's so true, and I'm glad you mentioned that. I want to tell all the teachers on the call and any who listen to this webinar when it's distributed. Think of me and Tracy too. As someone who's tasked with both of us in different ways. I'm tasked certainly with schools in the PG&E service area that want to build these relationships. If you need help, just give me a call or send me an email, and I can do some outreach on your behalf or make recommendations on ways to get things started. I don't think even the career academies, and Tracy, you know this, aren't able right away, if at all ever, able to find internships for all of their students. Think small. Think Can I find one internship for one student? Can I find 5
Exactly.
the next year? And can I, and maybe most importantly, is to what degree can you create a culture in your school and in your classroom where students are comfortable and competent doing all of this themselves? It doesn't have to be, it shouldn't even be too terribly teacher led. It can be very, very much a student initiated process if we give them the tools.
Right. I agree, Barry. I think, the idea of having students present an internship opportunity, which is what towards the end, what students did,
Mhm.
it was much easier for me to follow up with that partner, with that entity, and verifying or validating the internship as
Right.
opposed to me doing all the legwork.
Yeah.
So when students create their network map and they start to learn people in the field and create opportunities from that for themselves, I think it's a lot easier on the teachers that way.
That's right. So thanks for those thoughts. We're
Sure.
running out of time. If there aren't any other questions, if there are, ask them. And if they're not, we've got a couple more slides before we wrap up for the day. And see, show my screen. Hooray! Speaking of internships, PG&E is designing, we're in the process right now of designing internships for this summer in 4 cities. Now, I will remind anyone who's in some certain other cities have a separately funded and administered Boys and Girls Club jobs program. These 4 cities are a program that I'm helping to manage that's going to have some involvement with the Power Pathway program, which is a PG&E community college level program. The Sacramento program happened last year at American River College, and we're going to repeat that. Fresno City College, Oakland, and San Jose are the cities that will have paid internships this summer. We expect 4 to 5 weeks. We predict 5-hour days and possibly longer days during the job shadowing piece of this. And we are thinking it will begin in early mid-June through mid-July. And we just haven't quite nailed down all the moving parts of that yet, but keep an eye on that, and remember, I'm here to help you create internship programs all your own. It doesn't have to be, there's wonderful opportunities that aren't necessarily with PG&E. There's waste management. There's all kinds of manufacturing opportunities, city jobs, public works. Any number of things are possible. And this is the funnest time of any webinar. That's right. We're giving away a kilowatt meter. And we've randomly selected, if she's still on the call, Nancy Louie, are you there?
I'm here.
Nancy, have you,
Yes.
do you know what a kilowatt meter is?
Yes, I do.
Do you have one yet?
No, I don't. So I'm thrilled to get one.
Would you like one? Okay.
You betcha.
Okay, these are fabulous for anyone who doesn't know what they are, and you can buy them at a pretty reasonable price. A kilowatt meter plugs into a wall, and you plug any appliance into it that you want at all. It'll measure the amount of energy used up to 999 hours, so you can really get a fine-tuning read of how many watt hours any device has used. And a lot of devices that we have, like refrigerators, copying machines, and whatnot, really cycle in and out of high, dormant time and high power usage cycles and everything. And if you want to do a classroom energy audit or a home energy audit, these are a great tool. There is wonderful curriculum that comes with it to anyone that wants to invest in one, or anyone who happens to be lucky enough to win a kilowatt meter like Nancy Louie, and we'll be sending that out. Good job, Nancy. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And I'll be sending everyone, this is our second to last slide, everyone is going to get a link to register for the San Ramon Workshop. I'm sorry that we don't have more of these workshops throughout the service area, but this is what we have for the spring. We're going to send you links to everything that Tracy presented. Tracy, if you would, send me any additional links that you want me to include. I have obviously the Green360 link and the main page for the Career Academy Support Network. And next month's topic is kind of coordinated with the PG&E Solar Suitcase program. We'll be describing that, but the topic is going to be service learning projects that have a STEM angle to them. We have facilitated a number of service learning local community action projects that are really fun, and it's a great way to take their learning out of the classroom. It's not that difficult to design a project. I think we all are familiar with a growing almost a mandatory component, right, for service learning, senior projects, service learning, community efforts, and there's a lot of room to design STEM-based service learning projects, and we're going to look at a few examples of that. We're going to have a few teachers on the call who created local sustainability projects that had a STEM angle, and provide you with some resources. I think it's going to be a fun call, and watch your mailboxes for updates on that. That call is going to be on March 7th. March 7th, the first, we try to have these on the first Wednesday of each month. April 4th should be the Future of Energy Storage. May 2nd, Energy Expert Speakers series. So are there any questions before we terminate the call?
Barry, I just wanted to mention that in the chat box, I put my email. So if anybody, needs any kind of follow-up or has questions, you might want to just jot it down, and I'd be happy to help out.
Thank you for that.
And here it is again.
Imagine that. Great minds. Great minds. And Tracy Ostrom, you're one of our great minds. One of the most fabulous things I get to do in my job is meet so many wonderful teachers. And before the call, Tracy and I were chatting about our field trips we've taken together to cow power, where dairies are turning cow poop into natural gas, and the Diablo Canyon nuclear power plant, and all the wonderful times we've had. So it's my pleasure and my privilege to share Tracy Ostrom with all of you teachers. And with that, I just want to say thanks again, Tracy, for all your help, and everyone, stay in touch.
Thank you for the invite, and it was a pleasure to share some insights with all of you, and good luck with your programs. I know you guys are busy and working hard, and certainly appreciate that.
Yes, indeed. And again, ask me for help. Give me a call, send me an email, whatever it is, whether it has to do with internships or something else in the world of energy education or careers. Let me know, and I'll help you. I'll help you out. Be happy to help you. And finally, again, congratulations, Nancy Louie, winner of the kilowatt meter. Thanks, everyone.
All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.